after week, man. One day at a time, right? We talked about playing disciplined football for 60 minutes. Give yourself a round of applause. Hell of a job. I know the boss man's watching down on us right now for sure. He can feel it. We can all feel it, right? We're different. We're different, right? But it is one day at a time, man. One day at a time. Hey, shout out to a few guys. JT, 3 touchdowns on the ground. T. Jones had 113 passer rating. Hey, defense, 4 sacks. Offense gave up none. Hey, we say it starts in the division, right? That's the first one in the division, right? 1-0 division. Guess what? Now we got to go to LA and be 1-0 again. So that's the mindset. One day at a time, man. Love the process. Love the process. Love the grind. Play together. That's what it comes down to, man. Everyone doing their job at a high level. It's a commitment to excellence, right?
The Colts with plenty to celebrate after a 3-0 start. Shane Steichen telling his team, great job, because what else can you say now? They have certainly defied the odds here. They have now taken not a commanding lead, but a pretty good lead in the AFC South after the 3-0 start here. They won 41-20 against the Tennessee Titans, and I believe it's the first time that the Colts have scored 40 or more points in a game since the 2021 season. Now, for Indianapolis, Week 3 can be a trap game. We've seen the Colts be the beneficiaries of the trap game before. They beat Baltimore in Week 3 a couple years ago. They beat Kansas City in Week 3. Those were surprises. And sometimes when you're a team that has won its first 2 games, you enter Week 3, you kind of feel like you have a handle on the team, and then they go and, it just kind of the bottom falls out. I mean, just ask the Green Bay Packers. That was a team that was the class of the NFC, right? The Super Bowl contender. And they go on the road and they lose at Cleveland. Those are the kinds of things that can happen to teams on the road. And especially in Week 3, it just feels like it's a trap, right? And for the Colts, they didn't fall into it. As a matter of fact, they dominated this game from the jump, and really it was Kenny Moore and his interception return that got the whole thing started for Indianapolis. It just happened a few plays into the game. Cam Ward was trying to do a little check down. He was late on the throw, just kind of rainbowed it up there. Kenny Moore baited him the whole way, got that, returned it for the touchdown. And really, I mean, not to be over dramatic for it, but once that happened and the Titans were suddenly in a 7-0 hole, it kind of felt like the game was over. Like Kenny Moore called game on the first drive. Now, obviously, that wasn't necessarily the case. The Colts needed to move the ball and needed to score some more points. And, Tennessee did end up scoring 20 in the game. So, it wasn't just those 7 points that would hold up for Indianapolis, but it was definitely a great start. And, some things from this Colts team that I wanted to point out. First of all, 3 games, no turnovers. They haven't lost any fumbles. They haven't thrown any interceptions in these games so far. They've had a few, 4th downs. They've gone for it and not converted, but that's not a technical turnover, as in a turnover differential statistic like a forced fumble or something like that. So it's been they've played really clean football the whole way here, led, by Daniel Jones, playing the best football, I think, of his career. And, far be it from me, but I think a lot of people just can't really quite believe what we've seen from Daniel Jones. He's just been so good so far in this early part of the season. Through 3 games, has 816 yards passing. He's got 3 touchdowns, a bunch of scoring runs as well. He's been effective on his quarterback sneaks. 9 passes of 20-plus yards during the season. 3 passes of 40-plus yards during the season, completing about almost 72% of his passes for the Colts. And it's just been a really great thing to see, because if anything that we've watched from the Colts for the last several seasons, really since Andrew Luck retired, we hate to have to say it, but it's very, very true. Since he retired, quarterback play has just not been a great thing. They had 1 good year from Phillip Rivers, and that's about it. They drafted a guy, Anthony Richardson Sr., 4th overall, and didn't win the quarterback competition, and Jones did. And we had some skepticism. I especially had some skepticism about this. You hate to think that you spent a 4th overall round pick on a quarterback and you missed on him. But I tell you what, if Daniel Jones is going to play at the level that he's playing at right now, you can't have any complaints about it because he is playing at just he's got great pocket presence. He's not turning the ball over. He's not panicking. Anything that Shane Steichen has wanted to do on the offense for the Colts for the last couple of years, he hasn't been able to do because of quarterback limitations, whether because of inexperience or because of some, athletic things like Gardner Minshew not being the most athletic quarterback with the biggest arm, not able to do some of the things that you want to do as an offensive coach. Daniel Jones brings this full playbook open. You've got great seasons so far from Jonathan Taylor and also from Tyler Warren and a lot of the other receivers, and it's really coming together for the Indianapolis Colts. So let's take a listen now to head coach Shane Steichen.
Great team win. We talked about being relentless and disciplined for 60 minutes this week. That was the focus. I thought our guys came out and did that. I thought our offensive line did a hell of a job protecting, giving up no sacks. Our defense getting 4. We talked about starting the game fast. Kenny Moore getting the pick 6 to start. Couldn't have started any better than that. So shout out to the guys, the coaching staff, everybody involved. Takes everybody in this league to do their jobs at a high level to go out and execute. I thought it was just a great team win for us on the road. Injury updates, Alec Pierce got a concussion, and then Kenny Moore has a calf right now.
Shane, just talk about Jonathan Taylor's performance and that late run that kind of sealed it.
Yeah, it was awesome. 3 touchdowns on the ground. The offensive line paved the way for him. That big-time run there at the end, that was the old-school ISO play. I know I talked to you guys a little bit about that during the week. I said we put in old-school ISO, and it was a hell of a job up front. Warren leading, and then obviously 2-8 breaking the tackles and getting through there for the big run. It was fun. It was like old-school smash-mouth football.
How good does it feel when you put something in like that, you talk about it all week and you see it come together at that fashion?
Yeah, it was awesome. It's a credit to Jim Bob and offensive line coach and assistant offensive line coach and Tommy, our tight end coach, and those guys, coming up with that deal. It was awesome. So it takes everybody, like I said, everyone doing their job at a high level, one day at a time.
We talked a lot about Tyler Warren, like his receiving through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That play, that block, how much do you think that defines what he brings to your team?
Yeah, he's just an old school throwback freaking baller. The toughness, the grittiness that he plays with, it's awesome. He's a blue-collar player, do anything for the team, and just does his job at a high level.
With Jonathan, is that why you just keep, you guys kind of struggled a little bit with the run early on. Is that why you just keep pounding away because that play might be coming eventually?
Yeah. I mean, we threw it a little bit there early. Thought Daniel was very efficient throwing it. I think, 113 QB rating again, 18 to 25. He's efficient throwing it. Obviously mixing it with the run there too, and offensive line starts up front with those guys and them doing their jobs. So hell of a team win.
How big is Daniel's ability to avoid sacks in this offense?
It's been huge. That 3rd down right there around midfield was big because we were kind of on the edge of field goal range, and obviously we're trying to get it there, and they brought some pressure there, but him to get out of there and scramble for the first time. First down was a huge play for us there. I think he's just seen it really well. He's seen it really well, getting us in and out of the right place, delivering the ball with accuracy. He's playing freaking really good right now.
When you got hired, you said throw to score, run to win.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it looks like, right? Would you say?
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Every game can be different. But our guys are protecting up front. Our wideouts are making plays. Everyone's getting involved. Take it 1 week at a time. But, excited about where we're at right now as a football team.
With that sort of balance, what you want to call it, how much more difficult is it for teams to defend?
Yeah, absolutely. You got a guy that's the signal caller back there that studies his tail off, looks at every tape all day, every day, grinding, looking at different things, knowing the checks, understanding what we're trying to get done offensively, getting us out of the right plays. That stuff pays huge dividends in this league because there's a lot going on. It's obviously one of the toughest positions in all sports to play, and he's doing it right now as good as it gets.
Has this team exceeded your expectations so far?
No, I felt really good. Obviously, when you go into a season, obviously there's the outside noise, but in our locker room, our guys knew, what we had and the way we went about our business all through training camp and off season. And it's about going out and executing and playing together for one another. And our guys are doing that right now. We got to continue to do that, like I said, but it's a one day at a time. It's a week-to-week league, and we got to stay disciplined in our approach.
Week 3 in the NFL sometimes is like that week of trap games. For you guys to preach focus and discipline all week and then to go out and win by 21, what does it maybe say about this team?
That they're locked in. I think it's our first road test. We knew there was going to be some noise early, handling the noise, the communication up front. I thought it was great. I thought the defense played great. We were aggressive there, trying to get the quarterback off the spot. He's a talented player. You can see it. I think he's going to be a hell of a football player in this league. There's some of the stuff when they were going tempo. He looked really good. So I thought our guys, handled everything really good. It was a good team win.
Efficiency sounds boring, but I mean, no turnovers so far this
Yeah.
year. And Daniel, 9.1 per attempt today. The rushing average, just how are you so efficient?
Like I said, I think it's our guys, it's our players, and it's our coaches. But it starts with the players. This league's all about the players. Always has been, always will be. And those guys are grinding away, putting in the time, putting in the work during the week, practicing at a high level. You got to practice hard, and that's what it comes down to. It starts in practice, starts in the meeting rooms, and those guys have been locked in. And even the walkthroughs, I mean, they're locked in those walkthroughs. Those aren't a mess around deal when we walk through in the morning before practice, and they've been doing a hell of a job with it, all 3 phases. So, like I said, week-to-week league, got to continue it.
You talk about X's and O's with Daniel and how much he takes that season. From a mentality standpoint, just knowing everything he's been doing in his career, when did you kind of know, like, okay, he can handle just the pressure of being the guy whether you win or lose, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think early on, first couple of weeks he was here from a mental standpoint, just having those conversations, and he's been around it. I mean, he knows what this league's all about, and he's going to work his tail off and give this team everything he's got. No matter what happens on that field, he's going to go back to work. And like I said, he's been playing at a super high level right now. Offensive line's been protecting. Defense has been playing great. Lou's doing a hell of a job. I mean, just got to keep it going.
What do you think of Rigo's one punt today?
Yeah, I was kind of pissed about it, to be honest. I said, you got some work in today, finally. Man, we all were on the headsets. We're like, crap, we punted. Shoot. Because we thought we had the penalty. And so we're like, we're still got it going. And then we had to punt there. But it was a hell of a punt. Got him backed up. So, yeah.
Last one. Not that you needed it today, but when you hear the home fans booing, is there a blood in the water mentality there? Or because coaches and teams look for every advantage, is that even a thing that you've been registers?
No, I don't know. Look, I'll say this. I got a lot of respect for Callahan. I think he's a hell of a football coach. And I think those guys play hard and they play tough.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys.
And that was Indianapolis head coach Shane Steichen on the 41-20 win for the Indianapolis Colts. A couple of firsts here for the Colts. One good first, and that's the first game without a sack. They did not surrender a sack at all this week. Daniel Jones kept out of trouble, had a big scramble, a big 17-yard scramble on a play where it looked like he was dead to rights, but he kind of got his way out of pressure, got downfield, picked up the first down. The Colts ended up scoring on that drive. So it was really a significant play for them to do that. The other thing, and Steichen mentioned he was a little ticked off by it. The Colts did have their first punt of the year. They had to call on Rigoberto Sanchez for their first official punt because they did have a punt in week 1, but it got called back because of a penalty and it nullified the kick. But Rigoberto Sanchez, put another one inside the 10, just as he has always done really well for the Colts this year. But it was their first official punt of the season. They'd gone, 2 games without punting. And so in game 3, there comes the punt. Again, no sacks for Jones, no turnovers, just another solid game from him all the way for the Indianapolis Colts. And it's just great to see that Daniel Jones is doing the things that, you really want to see. Just sharp quarterback play, 18 of 25, 228 yards, had a touchdown. He had 4 rushes for 27 yards. No touchdowns this week, but he did pick up a couple of first downs with his legs. All those touchdowns this week went to Jonathan Taylor. 3 touchdowns for him, 17 carries, 102 yards. Those 3 touchdowns for JT. Also had 3 catches for 16 yards, along with 8 there. He had 4 targets. So the Colts really firing on all cylinders here. Just a great old school play on that touchdown where, we got a lead block from Tyler Warren. and then just spun his way and broke tackles all the way until he was 46 yards into the end zone. And Jonathan Taylor playing at a high level, Daniel Jones playing at a high level. You've got Tyler Warren in there, some other stats in there. You've got Michael Pittman Jr. with 6 catches for 73 yards and a really nice 20-yard touchdown that he just kind of Pittmaned his way to, just kind of grinding his way through the defense, being tough, playing big. Alec Pierce, 4 catches for 67 yards. Looked like he had another long one this week. But as he got to the ground, and apparently when he rolled over the second time, was not able to hold on to the ball, so did not get the long catch there. But Pierce has shown such improvement on not just being the deep ball guy, showing some of those other routes, the square ends, those sorts of things, being able to win one-on-one and get inside of the defenders. Really good job by Pierce. Unfortunately, he did leave the game with a concussion, so we'll have to keep an eye on his status. Tyler Warren, 3 catches for 38 yards, still hasn't gotten in the end zone yet, but his effect on the defense is just undeniable. He can pass protect, he can run block, and obviously move him around, do all kinds of things with him in formations. Josh Downs, 2 catches for 34 yards. The one I really remember is a nice 29-yard catch that he made where it was kind of bootleg. Jones kind of threw against the grain a little bit, and Downs was wide open near the sideline. And really the Colts did a lot of those bootlegs. They did a lot of play action bootlegs with Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones, and boy, they worked quite a bit in this game. And as for Daniel Jones' performance, let's hear from the quarterback himself.
I don't know. I think obviously we're running it well. JT, had another big time day. I think huge credit to him and how he's been playing, and then the guys up front, and they're blocking and the run game's been big, and then guys are getting open, making plays in the pass game with some explosive plays and stuff down the field. So I think a lot of credit to the guys up front. I think it starts there in the run game and the pass game, and then playing off of that.
You guys have been playing at a really high level for all 3 weeks now. Have you expected things to come down to earth a little bit, or it seems like there's really been no weak spot in the offense so far?
I think we certainly expect to play at a high level. I think every time we step out there, every time we get the ball, we expect to execute and go down the field and score. So, no, I don't think the expectation changes at any point, whether we're playing, regardless of how it's going. So, I think that stays that way, and we'll see. There's still things we got to clean up and work on. I think still, some missed opportunities, things that weren't as sharp as they should have been, and we'll go back, look at that, and clean it up.
Did you clock the first punt of the season?
Did I clock it?
Did you kind of go, Shane said he was kind of pissed.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think Rigo had an N10 there, right? He got a good punt, so happy for him. But yeah, should have converted the third down, honestly. But yeah.
Shane mentioned that you're really all in the film, always trying to search for answers. So how obsessive are you? When do you cut it off, or do you cut it off at all?
I think each week's a little bit different, but I think you're always working to find something that could help you when you get into that situation. I think Shane's very similar. I think something that's impressed me here. I think we got a smart football team and a lot of guys who can handle information and kind of know what to expect going out there and then execute. And I think when you have smart guys, you're able to continue to tweak things later in the week. And if you come up with something or you see something, the coaches do a really good job. Hey, let's make this little adjustment here or that, and guys pick it up well and execute it on Sunday.
Shane told us privately on Friday he was really excited about that ISO play you guys scored on. Did you guys feel like that had a chance? And like from your perspective to watch it?
Yeah, that's fun to watch for sure. To get those, those are always nice. I wouldn't call myself a run game expert in terms of the scheme and how that's all game planned, but we got coaches who do a phenomenal job with that stuff and getting everybody ready to go. Tony Sperano, Tom Manning, all those guys that do the run game stuff are locked in, and if they say it's going to be good, then it's probably going to be good.
They haven't asked you to do as many designed runs as maybe you did in New York. obviously you made plays with your legs today, but is there something to just kind of going about picking apart the defense and not having to worry about 8 to 10 to 12 carries?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly willing and feel like I'm capable in the run game if when it's needed. I think that's still part of this system. We've had success, doing other things, but every week's different, and whatever's called for, whatever the coaches see opportunities with, I'll certainly be ready for. But I mean, when you got JT running it like he's running it, let him run it. I don't need to get in the way of that.
Daniel, you've been able to avoid sacks quite a bit this year. Obviously, you had the big run today, but just how important is that for this offense to be able to avoid those negative plays and kind of stay on schedule without, the sacks?
Yeah, I think it's huge. When you look at, a lot of the statistics and how you evaluate likelihood of scoring, I think those negative plays are huge, drive killers, and having, just one of them in a drive can really hurt your chances. So I think we've been doing a good job with that. Big credit to the guys up front. I mean, the offensive line, obviously that's where it starts, and then guys getting open and my job to get the ball out on time. So I think that's all, everybody working together, but starts up front for sure.
Then you have the run and pass sort of played off each other. I mean, you guys have not been shy about throwing the ball down the field aggressively and often, but also running for a lot of yards with efficiency. How are they playing off each other right now?
I think just trying to take advantage of what the defense is doing. Helps to have a lead. When you have a lead, and especially in the second half, and then you can run the ball and hit some explosive runs, and it's been fun to watch that. Today you get up, and then the second half, JT hits a 40-yarder or whatever it was. I think that's huge. But yeah, I think just being able to do both keeps the defense on their heels. They've got to defend both.
You mentioned that you and Shane are pretty obsessive about football. So if you're all away from the facility, how long does it take for the other to respond if you send a play to each other? Like, is it a long process, or is it okay? Is there ever like an off time, or I gotta?
I don't know. I mean, it depends when, but yeah. I mean, the head coach texts you should respond pretty quick, right?
Kenny getting that pick six just to start the game. What did that maybe do for both sides of the ball?
Huge. Yeah, I mean, huge. Just to start the game 7-0. Big time start. We talked about having a fast start, coming on the road for the first time, and making sure we're forcing the issue. Starting fast, and then for him to make that play was big time for us. And on offense, that's a great feeling. You haven't touched the ball yet, and you're in in the lead. So yeah, big time play.
With Jonathan doing what he's doing right now, how much easier does that make your life as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think it makes it a lot easier having, being able to pop those explosive runs. And then in the red zone, he's done a great job finishing in the end zone. Yeah, I think the ability to run it down there is huge, and he's done a great job. What's that?
Yeah. Is there, when you hear the home fans turn on their own team and you're the opponent, is there a blood in the water type of mentality that happens there, or do you even notice that?
You notice it for sure. Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think when you hear that and sense that, try to take advantage of it, and yeah. All right, thank you.
And that was Daniel Jones talking about the 41-20 win over the Tennessee Titans. Again, a road win for the Colts, 3-0 in the NFC or AFC South, I should say. And those standings are tremendous for the Indianapolis Colts right now. I don't think anybody envisioned that Indianapolis would be in this position right now. Jacksonville got a win yesterday against the Houston Texans, so they are now 2-1. So they're a game behind the Colts. The Texans off to an 0-3 start, which is awful. The Titans off to an 0-3 start. It's kind of one of those things. I think with the Titans, you expected it just a little bit, because you knew they had the rookie quarterback, and for those guys, it doesn't matter who you are. It takes a while to get acclimated to the league, and success does not often come early. You have exceptions. Andrew Luck did get the team to the playoffs in his rookie season, but that's just not a thing. Jaden Daniels actually had a great season last year for the Commanders, but it's just not a thing that you often see. So it's not a surprise necessarily that the Titans are there at 0-3, but the Texans being 0-3, when for many, many people, they were picked to be the top team in the AFC South, for them to not win a game, to dig a hole with the talent, especially on offense and defense that they've got on that team, is shocking. But, if it's not coming together and they're not playing well, that's where it is. Now, I know that when we had our show last week, Mike Chappell said he would rather, because I was like, well, let Jacksonville take the loss, then you'll have 2 1-2 teams and then give you Colts some additional space. But Chap was like, hey, no, let Houston lose. They're the really talented team in this division. I feel like you want to get as much space as you can between them and the Colts at the top of the standings. So, that's an opinion, right? That's one way to look at it. As far as the defense goes, you had the interception from Kenny Moore. No other forced turnovers, no forced fumbles, no other interceptions in the game for the Colts. They did have 4 sacks, and they came from a lot of different people. Tyquan Lewis had 2. You had 1 from Neville Gallimore, which kind of felt like, hey, it's a cameo from Neville Gallimore, but there he is with 1. Kwity Paye getting a sack as well. Nick Cross, I think, playing some pretty good football for the Colts. Joe Bacci felt like he was all over the place. DeForest Buckner, just chasing guys all over the field. Finished with 5 tackles, didn't quite get a sack, but he did get a hit on the QB. And I think, for the most part, like Cam Ward has now been sacked. He was sacked 6 times against in their week 1 game, sacked 5 times in week 2, now sacked 4 games in week 3. So I guess he'll be sacked 3 times next week. I guess my biggest concern about the Colts defense would be the fact that outside pass rush is not very consistent, because at first they did a really good job of bottling in Cam Ward. And then as the game wore on a little bit, they got a little bit out of their lanes. They lost containment a little bit, and then they weren't necessarily getting to him. But, again, 4 sacks, they did a pretty good job, I think, overall of holding down the Titans. They put up some yards in garbage time, and the Titans helped the Colts out too. I mean, goodness, the Titans' last scoring drive, they acted like they were up by 4 touchdowns and were trying to run out the clock. And you just cannot, you've got to have better awareness. You got to have better clock management than that. And that at the end of the half too, I mean, there is no way that the Colts should have been able to get a field goal at the end of the half, but the Titans botched their entire operation. They ended up picking up a penalty, ended up with a missed field goal. They left too much time, just enough time for the Colts to get downfield and get a field goal. Colts were a little bit better in red zone this week too. They had a couple of red zone touchdowns. I think they were in the red zone 4 times, but one of them was that last field goal, I believe, at the end of the half. So, still some things to work on the red zone. Didn't like the first time they got in there, the first field goal, the first short field goal that they kind of settled for. But, can't really, again, argue. The Colts have done a phenomenal job so far. They are 3-0, and they will look to go to 4-0 against the Rams on Saturday, and that'll be a road game as well for them. So that'll kind of wrap things up here for the Week 3 win, 41-20 over the Tennessee Titans. For Mike Chappell and Dave Griffiths, I'm Matt Adams, and thank you for watching the Colts Blue Zone podcast.